Hello, everyone. Uh, Thank you for joining again today. I trust that you are having a great day in Christ. I trust that you are experiencing how good the good news is that you've been grafted into the very life of Jesus so that he can live his life through you. Well, today we're looking at the experience of Jesus and how it impacts Peter, which we'll see over the next day or two, how it impacts Peter. Because immediately after the whole upper room experience, they leave the upper room where Jesus had washed their feet, where they celebrated the first Eucharist, where he told Peter that Satan had obtained permission to sift him like wheat. Then immediately he leaves there to go to Gethsemane. So let me just read these verses to you. Verse 36 of Matthew 26. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, James and John, and began to be grieved and distressed. And he said to them, "My soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me." And he went a little beyond them and fell on his face. And he prayed, saying, in the language here, repeatedly saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said specifically to Peter, "So you men could not keep watch with me for 1 hour." And interesting, why did he point out Peter? This is a follow-up on what he's trying to speak into Peter's life to bring Peter to understand that though Peter had boasted that they all may fall away, but he never would. He would go to jail. He would even die for Jesus, lay his life down for Jesus. So he's specifically pointing out to Peter that, Peter, you can't do this in your own strength. You're already not able to fulfill the sincerity of your will and desire apart from the grace of God operating in you and through you. So he says to Peter again, "So you men could not keep watch with me for 1 hour. Keep watching and praying that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." And he went away again a second time. And this is what I wanted you to hear particularly today. I want you to hear the heart of the Lord. He went away again a second time and prayed, saying repeatedly, "My Father, if this cannot pass away unless I drink it, thy will be done." Now earlier, the first time, he had prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as your will, not my will, but your will be done." But here, this second time he goes to pray, he's saying, "My Father, if this cannot pass away unless I drink it, thy will be done." Now here, I think he's saying something more than just, if this whole thing that I've got to drink it for, I'm saying yes to going to the cross. And of course, Jesus was in his humanity being tempted in every way like unto us. And so in his humanity, he's saying these things to the Father. And yet, as the prototype of the normal Christian, the prototype of the new creation, Jesus says, "But your will be done. Your will be done. Your will be done." Now, that happens to us a lot, doesn't it? That there'll be times when you get tempted to do this or do that, and you know it's not God's will. But at that moment, the Lord's giving us an opportunity for our surrender to go to deeper levels, which will steward great fruitfulness in the days ahead. But we have an opportunity in that moment to say, "Lord, not my will, but your will be done." Because the person who gets to live by their own will apart from Christ was crucified. The old self, the independent self, was crucified. And now I'm one with Jesus. And my whole life is only about his will. That your whole life is about his will. I don't have any rights other than the right to think what he thinks, to see what he sees, to say what he says, to do what he does. Those are great rights. That's great freedom, great privilege. But when he says the second time, my Father, this cannot pass away unless I drink it, thy will be done. I believe Jesus is talking about when he says, unless cannot pass away. He's talking about human brokenness and human fallenness. You see, Christ came to set us free from the reign of sin. Sin at its heart is radical self-centeredness, which is self-destruction, because the wages of sin is death, emotional and mental and spiritual death. And Jesus came to set us free from the slavery to sin. He came to set us free from things like, hatred and bitterness and anger, but also things like impatience and frustration and disappointment and resentment and aggravation and complaining, all those little foxes that ruin the vineyard. He came to set us free from our fallenness. And what he was seeing was this, mankind's brokenness and fallenness. And he's saying to the Lord, his Father, my Father, if this, mankind's brokenness, cannot pass away unless I drink it, thy will be done. Now he says that in light of what just happened. After going to the Lord, Father, the first time, and saying, Lord, if this cup, can it pass away? If not, thy will be done. He finds his disciples, and he specifically speaks of Peter, and he finds his disciples sleeping, and he speaks to them. Peter, could you men not even keep watch for 1 hour? And so he's got Peter's brokenness, Peter's inability to be godly in his own independent strength, as well as the other two that were with him, just to keep watch for 1 hour. And so he's thinking about that little example. He's not angry with them. His heart is broken for them. See, God didn't come to pour out his wrath on mankind. He came and poured out his wrath on sin. He came to destroy sin because sin breaks the Father's heart. What sin does to humanity breaks his heart. Fallen and broken humanity breaks his heart. And Jesus came not just so you'll be forgiven. To be forgiven, the word, I've said this before, the word forgive means to put away. He came to put away your sin. Not just put away. Forgiveness isn't just about God not being angry at you anymore. It's to put sin away. To, one, the penalty for your sin to be paid for, but also to put sin's power away from controlling you and destroying your life. And so here in the garden, he says, my Father, if this brokenness, this weakness because of the fall, because of the independent selves, can't live a godly life, can't, no matter how sincere they are, no matter how determined they are, Lord, this brokenness, mankind's brokenness, that causes them to do unbelievable, horrific, destructive things. He said, if it can't pass away, unless I drink it, your will be done. My spiritual father used to tell this analogy, this story, so I'll tell it to you. See, we were created to be in his image and likeness. We were created to contain his life, manifest his image and likeness. So the imagination is like, pretend that there is this planet a million miles away, and they've longed throughout their history. All these people, this population of beings, had longed to know God, but they didn't know who God was. And somehow they got a message that there was a place on earth where people were created to contain and reveal the image and likeness of God. And it caused them to get excited. So they decided to get an exploration together, because it was going to take 30 years if they sent a rocket with some people to get here to Earth. And so they gathered these certain people who met particular qualifications. They sent them off. Millions of people watched them being sent off in anticipation that within 60 years, they would know finally who God is. And so these people, they come and they land on earth after 30 years. They walk on the streets of our cities and spend several months on earth. At the end of the time, they get back in their spaceship and they travel 30 more years to go back to their planet. And when they come and their spaceship arrives, millions of people have gathered. It's been a 60-year wait. After all this time, their entire history, not knowing who God is, but knowing there is a God, finally, their own people are going to step off and reveal to them what God is like, step off the spaceship, tell them what God is like, because they've been among people who are created to reveal his image and likeness. And when they come off of the spaceship, they look despairing and depressed and discouraged, and people are wondering what's going on. And one speaks up to a microphone and says, "We have bad news for you. We've been to earth, and God is a liar, and he's a thief. He's a rapist. He's deceptive. He cheats. He's angry and bitter and unfair," and on and on and on. And everybody went away despairing. You see, you and I were created, mankind was created to contain his image and reveal his likeness. That's who we are. And when we've been restored to him in Christ, we now living in us now the very life of Jesus. So once again, containing his image, we can reveal his likeness. We're created to tell the truth about God. You know, we've said this before. Jesus came to tell the truth about God and the truth about man. And he told the truth about God, about being the truth about man, because the truth about man is we were created to tell the truth about God. The life that you and I live, our destiny is to reveal the truth about God. But apart from him, we can't do it. And Jesus saw mankind created for this unique destiny to contain the life of God and reveal his image and likeness. And yet all they were doing was revealing a lie about who they are and who God is. And so in his brokenness, Jesus said, in his brokenheartedness, he said, if this brokenness cannot be removed unless I drink it, unless I do this, then it must be done. That will be done. Because in my death, a whole new humanity will be raised up in me, in union with me. Okay, well, God bless you. It's always a joy to be with you. I'm so grateful that you spend time with me on these broadcasts. It means the world to me. I wish I could see your faces. But I can say to you, like Paul said to the Philippians, he said he loved them with the affection of Christ. Though I don't know your names and I can't see your faces, I do love you with the affection of Christ. And my prayer is that you'll discover the wonders of the gospel and the freedom and the glorious liberty of Jesus Christ himself alive in you, manifesting his image and likeness in you and through you in everything you do in life. Okay? Well, God bless. See you next time.